My coffee cup. It's always water. I have my coffee in the morning with you, which I love. But
It's our best time of day.
I like to look like I'm drinking coffee, but if I drink this much coffee, I'd
We
be
have
pooping,
some product placement here.
pooping my pants all day. I don't even know how good that product placement is because they might get super jelly. Oh, we don't have our laptops out.
No, we don't.
Is that going to be an issue?
I don't think so.
I mean, it's not going to be for me. That's always just an aesthetic thing. I never even look at it. Half the time it's not even on. Hey, everybody. We're still just getting set up. Just last minute setups. If you want to go subscribe to us so that you can see all of our NFL videos here on YouTube. This is an NFL Las Vegas. Oh my gosh, I almost said Las Vegas. Thanksgiving. I wasn't even going for the city. Thanksgiving special show. Las Vegas isn't even playing, as a matter of fact.
This is one of my favorite days of the year, not because it's Thanksgiving, but because we get a whole day of football and we get to watch each game individually, which sometimes I really enjoy. Being able to not try and figure out what's going on in 8 different games in a main slate, but take some time and actually
That's why it's
see
gonna be
what's going on.
super quick show, which we're trying to bring it down to a very much shorter show, just so we can get into this, like, it's last minute lineup thing.
Very
Is now
much
the
shorter.
new go shorter, less graphics. I can just pop up whatever we need to talk about and we get in and out of here, because I know just as much for the viewers, they want to get
you don't want to
in and
hear
out
us
of. You
go
don't
on
be
and
2
on
hours.
for 2 hours.
We wanted
of
to
us.
we wanted to absolutely prove that we could do it. We wanted a couple of shows under our belt. We got 3, I think, that were 2 some hours a piece. 6 hours of content that was just in
game
our
by game
in
breakdown.
yeah
DFS,
in our world,
wagering.
just proving that you can do it is a huge thing. So that's kind of over. We're gonna do the shortened things, and I'm pretty sure everybody will appreciate it. They're like, what the hell is this? I'm like, hey, don't worry, it's still, we're figuring it out. Just got to prove we can do it. Now we want to just go run through quarterbacks, running backs, wideouts, tight ends, and defense, like literally in that order.
Yeah.
But we will not be breaking down each game individually.
It'll come a little bit as we're talking
Exactly.
about.
It's
So
more
that's what we're
organic,
hoping
like that.
exactly.
The conversation happens
The
instead of
perfect
being
word.
like prompted. This is what's happening. Talk about this.
Yeah.
Which was also a huge pain, because you'd have some of them where I want to talk all day, and then you'd have some of them that I don't want to say a single word about.
Yeah.
Next.
Some games
Because people
just
don't
suck.
like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Can't just not mention the game just because you don't like Las Vegas and the Colts playing each other or something. That
3
hey,
times in the last 4 weeks.
unreal.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know. So we don't have any recaps of the last. We were dealing with. I was on RPAN last week. I did my show on RPAN, which is on Reddit, which they're doing their last week. So I gave them my last little hoorah over there. So we took the show away from YouTube. Sorry, but I owe them a lot over there. But we don't have any recaps. That's what I'm really mainly getting
That's
at.
okay.
That's why I'm completely fine with it. The matchups we will be featuring. Oh, I put it up and then I took it down, and we got our little thing in front of it. But hopefully, coming in, Patriots, Minnesota's that late game. They're a 3-point favorite. Minnesota is
That moved a
42 and a
little
half.
bit,
It moved a
didn't
little bit, yeah. And the Giants, what is wrong with me today? Giants, Cowboys, middle of the day. And then we got Buffalo's Lions coming up really relatively
Yeah,
quickly,
about
about a half an hour. So we're going to get out of here, because we got to put on our own lineups and get to those games.
We have to make you second guess your own lineups.
And
before they
exactly,
lock,
yeah. Or that last minute lineup you want to put in, and you can't think of another way to mix up your lineup. Use ours
Maybe we'll have some
and
good
come in
advice.
last.
Yeah.
Go for it. Interesting 10-point favorites with the Bills and Lions and Giants and Cowboys, just because I never really like going above 10 points, no matter who it is.
For a Thanksgiving game.
I think my picks are gonna surprise people as far as it seems like those games where you get locked into a certain way of thinking, and then at the end of it you go, oh, I wasn't even looking at that because I was totally looking at something else. So I got a weird prediction
So some of
here.
these totals too, because I feel like a lot of people are going to be heavy on the first game. Buffalo Detroit has the highest point total of the day. And then as we get down into these lower implied point totals where maybe that makes you want to stay away from the New Englands, makes you want to stay away from the Giants, which I feel that a little bit, but that's where in a big GPP field in a tournament, that's where you need to differentiate from all the chalk. I feel like I'm going to be using that late player swap when the first game does not go the way I planned. I'm like, oh my gosh, let me
She loved the late player
start
swap. I can't.
trying to pull all
I
these other
can't.
people in.
I can't do it. Yeah, and I want to. You got the Bills up top and the Vikings down below, like almost you're either going to see the Bills go outrageous and this thing's over by 1:30, or you're going to see everyone's going to be sitting with 67 points and that game hasn't started yet, and you're like, what the hell is about to happen? Oh yeah, Justin Jefferson is going to, or better yet, it'll be like Jacoby Myers will go off because you'll have put Jefferson. That it's just too easy to see that this is how it happens all the time. Anyways, moving down to look at that graphic I made. And then I made this one too, which is featuring quarterbacks.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountains?
Oh crap! I gotta take this one. See, I gotta get used to that. Okay. Well, no, there's your quarterbacks. I do have to get used to taking off though. I'm not used to that. I'm used to just having the button.
To the next one.
Having the next one. So I gotta remember to pop off whichever.
So
one.
Quarterbacks, we have 6 to choose from in this slate.
Yeah, I mean, you have more than that, but there's only 6 that I would suggest that you choose.
To choose from. That would be my suggestion.
Down the road, I'm not even going to include the possibilities of the other people, but whatever fits the screen.
I feel like, though, honestly, you really only have 2 in this case. I don't know that going lower than Dak Prescott, it's not for the faint of heart. I do have one with Mac Jones in it.
My original lineup was Mac Jones, but then it's just so hard. He's like a
what kind
he's
of
like a Danny Jones where you're looking at his receiver corner, you're like, who? Someone's got to get the ball, and I can't.
My issue with the slate in general is that Josh Allen is very chalky and obviously the best quarterback to choose from by far here.
Yeah.
But when you pair him with a pass catcher, which we'll get into, your salary's like demolished.
Tanked.
So I was
you
trying to
get
play
creative
with
here.
this a little bit. So it's like, what do? Do you get like the top stack here, which I would consider to be Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and then you fill it with a bunch of like sub players, hoping that somebody or multiple actually
like a Gabe Davis
have a breakout? Or do you switch and look at a Gabe Davis instead of Stephon Diggs? Or do you go down to Dak Prescott?
See, that's what I'm thinking. And you're going to see that in my lineup. I'm not going to play this game of see what happens. I'm going to tell you straight up. I want Diggs because I do think that these primetime games are big for primetime players.
Okay.
Justin
So you see a
Jefferson,
lot of the funneling going toward Diggs. You're going to get the points that way versus relying on Josh Allen at $9,500.
Yes, and then so I don't want Josh Allen, but I do want Diggs. I want a piece of that. I'm not going to play the game and get stung. If I don't, fine, but I feel like you're setting yourself up to get stung if you're going to try and skirt the higher paid players by taking Joshy and then going with the Gabe Davises or whatnot. And then you are absolutely bombed if you do take him with Diggs. The rest of your lineup is absolutely going to suffer.
Yeah,
it's already hard enough. So when I went down to Dak, I was still having problems with that back last 2 spots.
You get $1,500 more by dropping from Josh to Dak. I guess my concern is we've seen Dak play not very many games fully, and last week there's going to be a lot of recency bias here, right? Last week they pummeled the Vikings.
Yeah.
Scored a lot of points. Dak scored a lot of passing touchdowns to his running backs. It's just hard to think, can he recreate the week that he had against the Giants D that I think is a little bit better? And can he score 24 plus points to make value? Whereas Josh, he has put up 30 plus points twice already this season. Like, it is possible. But can you see that from Dak in this divisional game? It's what my concern is, but then again, what is the risk of the rest of your lineup when you have to spend $9,500 on your quarterback? So I'm with you. I have a little bit of both, but we'll go into like.
Are we basically drilled down to those two? You wouldn't even suggest Kirk Cousins or Danny Dimes.
I don't suggest either of those twos because
Goff
I
is
feel
playing
like
too
the
hard of a
Dallas and the New
defense.
England
It's also
defense.
going to depend on who your defense is. Also,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do feel like Dallas and New England defense are really good options. I have concerns about Jared Goff in general. I actually started trying to build a lineup around him, and it doesn't. Sometimes when you start building your lineup and you're like, something's not right here. Like I don't know what it is about like these salary
every time
options.
I build a lineup,
but like something's just off here. Like I'm getting too much value here, not enough value here, and it feels like it skews the lineup a little bit to the point where you're like, this isn't the one. Like I can just feel like this isn't the one. And
those are mostly lineups that I think are good. I'm like, this is a great lineup, and I'm like, that's not a good. That's never good.
Staying away from Jared Goff, and then Mac Jones. I tried here. I was like, this could be like bottom of the barrel. You could save so much money, get a ton of great wideouts and running backs. But let's talk about New England offense, passing offense in particular. the volume isn't there. You're right. Who is he throwing the ball
And New
to?
England doesn't win this game by shooting out or
That's
beating
the
the
thing. We saw
crap out of
them put up
Minnesota.
3 points last week.
New England knows they have to win this game by keeping it real low
Exactly.
scoring and close.
So
It's not going to happen. That's not a guarantee, but they know that that's what they need to do.
Yes. And I really, when we get into running backs in the next part, we'll talk about some New England running back options. But that's their game. It's the ground game. It has nothing to do with Mac Jones
So
throwing the
it's
ball.
like when you're playing when you're horse betting. Get rid of the losers first. That'll help you soften up your
my
list.
favorite strategy.
It's such a
Just
great
start
one.
crossing
But
them off.
so I would say, Mr. Jones, Mr. Mac Jones, I like you, but it just doesn't make sense for game schemes. So I'm not going to take a risk on you, especially when how many times have you gotten, you put Diggs, you put Jefferson because now you can afford them, and then it
don't
craps
do
out.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You end up with a 135, and you're like, what
and
the hell
odds,
did this happen?
I wonder what the odds are of all wide receiver ones just going off. I don't
It's
think
not
you're
possible.
Gonna see that
It's not
today.
possible.
So, I don't feel like you need to exactly drop down to save there because the points are going to come, I feel, from
So
Josh
one
Allen
so
and
one of the
Dak
big
Prescott,
guys is going to have a crap day, and I want to say it's Justin Jefferson.
which I have to. That's what Bill Belichick does.
That's yes.
And
He takes out your biggest threat.
He takes out your
It's
biggest
obviously
threat.
your biggest threat. A disciplined team.
Very
Dallas
disciplined.
Dallas is a disciplined team. As much as Dallas is not a good team, they're disciplined. They're very programmed. They're very what is that?
Can we talk about your belief with Minnesota? You haven't been a Minnesota fan very much
I
this
hate
entire
Minnesota.
season. You've felt that their record is much better than the team itself.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about what you mentioned to me in terms of penalties last week? Because I wasn't a believer.
I feel
and
like
then-
they make entire game scheme out of catching penalties,
Mm-hmm.
and when they don't, because they play against a more disciplined team that doesn't allow themselves to be penalized. I made the call back when they were playing Washington,
couple weeks
Arizona.
ago,
I said, when these guys play somebody that matters, that isn't a bunch of kids like Arizona running around getting 50 some penalties, leading up to that 48 out of Washington, whatever it was. You go and play somebody who's more of a disciplined. It's not necessarily that they don't take penalties, but they know they're not supposed to, and they make sure that they don't. Arizona, how many times do you just see Arizona taking the dumbest penalties of all time?
I don't think you're going to see New England cornerbacks today getting a lot of DPI calls.
No,
against
you
Justin
better not, because
Jefferson,
you got to
which
go
is what
stare
we-
down Bill Belichick if you do, and I don't want to do that.
And I have
That's
to
like
agree
my
with
only
you.
thing I would be practicing this week.
And you have a game just a couple of days ago where Vikings were shut out. So
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm only scoring 3 points in that game. So yeah, if I'm Bill, okay, well, here's the recipe to winning. Here's how it worked. And my team, I know, isn't going to be able to put up 25, 30 points.
It's not what I'm here to do.
So I'm here to shut them down,
Yep.
and especially Justin Jefferson.
Yep. And don't take penalties.
Exactly.
Boom. We can win this game. You show them the footage from last week. And I've been calling it. People don't want to believe me. I got bashed online for saying it. I said, 17 touchdown drives for Minnesota, but they don't have a single one without a 40-yard defensive pass interference.
That is a statistic that is very sound.
It's 100% accurate. But people didn't like that on the internet for some reason. Mainly Vikings fans. Wow. Anyways, so interesting question though. Would you hedge against just in case that doesn't happen? No. I'm good. So that eliminates two for me then, because Kirky is, even if Kirk wins this game, I believe he has a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
So let's not even. We shouldn't even. I don't think I'm talking Jefferson. If I'm taking, if I'm having a hard time because I have to decide what $9,000 player I'm taking because I'm deciding to take one for some reason, it's going to be Diggs over Jefferson. Especially when we just had a quiet day from Diggs and Allen. Jefferson, he didn't do well either, did he?
I mean, they only put up 3 points against Dallas. So I do have a little bit of. I've never thought that Trayvon Diggs is like a shutdown corner, but he has been playing a lot better this season.
Indeed.
He's not giving up as many yards. He's certainly not picking off as many quarterbacks either. But I feel like they can, even if they had to, double, New England cornerbacks had to double. Trayvon did very well last week covering Justin. So I feel like you have two options.
I'm going to go to
I'm
wide
ready to go
receivers
in,
next. I wanna
coach.
see,
Just give me a
because
chance.
We can get an idea. Running backs are kind of just on their own as
The
far
running
as.
backs are tough this week too.
Look
I
at
feel
this
like
New
that's
England.
one of the most
Yeah, let's put up
challenging
New England,
positions.
Minnesota first,
Okay.
just to get an idea. Their first main wide receiver, Jacoby Myers, comes in at $6,700. And then, like, you're literally scraping the bottom of the barrel. On Minnesota also, look at 5,900. Look at that drop from Jefferson. It tells you the whole game scheme there is that you basically shut down Jefferson, and then the rest of the team is a bunch of mopes.
Exactly. I don't think Adam Thielen is going to have a great day against this defense. KJ Osborne, I don't know where he's been. I don't think he's even been on the
I have
field.
Jacoby Myers, and I'm thinking about taking him off now, but I really can't afford anybody else that looks like they could even get targets.
This is where it gets tricky. If we had like, if you scroll through, you look at sub 6,000. I would almost say sub 5,500.
Sub 5,500, you're not gonna.
But
like,
you have to play
Osborne,
one of them, right?
I guess.
Like, there's no
Parker. I think I did take Parker in a lineup because you're gonna start looking at these guys early. This one over here, this is the Giants in Dallas. These are your 5,500s are getting down to Galladay.
You can't play. I was going to switch kind of back over a little bit to Jacoby
Robinson's
Myers.
not in. Gallup's over 5,700.
Yeah.
He's not a bad choice, and I do have him.
Who's at the bottom there? Is that Noah Brown?
Yes, that was Noah Brown.
So Noah Brown dropped a huge touchdown pass last week. That's the guy for my sub 5,500 guys. That's a guy that I do really like just because I feel like Dallas is going to be able to throw the ball effectively here. I
like Isaiah McKenzie.
Do you like Isaiah McKenzie?
$5,200. Yeah, looking in that pool of 55 and under. But look at Josh Reynolds, man. You only paid maybe $100 more.
The thing is,
than you're willing.
The thing is here. I mean, Josh Reynolds has been hurt. I don't know if he's expected to play
but
today.
He's been a favorite target. What if he's just back in action? Like
DJ
nothing
Chark
ever happened?
has barely been on the field.
DJ?
I'm leaning. So my general philosophy, will kind of touch on that just a little bit. With probably the most people that are playing in this mini slate here, love the Detroit Buffalo game, highest implied point total.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit too much, but I do feel like obviously you have to have people. This is only a 3-game slate, so you got to choose
from
some
both
people.
teams.
From both teams. I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown here as a bring back option. It is technically a good matchup on paper, and I imagine Jared Goff is going to be playing from behind a little bit, so I like the throw. We can talk about running backs. Obviously, running backs catch passes too, along with tight ends, but I do feel like Amon-Ra St. Brown is a good bring back. I have a couple of lineups with Stephon Diggs where I paid up, and then I did kind of do a little bit of flip over to the wide receiver 2 position there with Gabe Davis. I do not trust Isaiah McKenzie.
You don't?
At all.
Lower workload against Detroit if you're up seems to me like, I don't know. I can't say that though, because I see Buffalo needing to work on some things, so they're not necessarily going to get too comfortable being up. If they won their last 2 games, they probably would, but I see this being a full work day for them, full workload. So
you think this is going to be back and forth then? You think
no, not necessarily, but I do believe that Buffalo's going to play a real nice game. I don't see them taking any chances.
Yeah,
I do
have a lineup, I think, where I've stacked Buffalo entirely.
Really?
Where I have 4. I've maxed
See, this
out
is
my
where
Buffalo
when you start stacking those though, you start getting into the dangers of fear of missing out, and then you start making other lineups, and then all of a sudden one does well, but you purposely went again. It's risky. I don't do it.
Out of that first game, is there?
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
That
out
one?
of the Buffalo Detroit game, are there, besides Stephon Diggs and you mentioned Isaiah McKenzie, anybody else that you think?
Yeah, I like a lot of people, but the price tags aren't making sense for me unless it's Stephon. Watch St. Brown have a better game than Stephon, I'll just cry. Everything's showing me also like McKenzie's too cheap. Yeah. So something's wrong there.
I mean, he's just not very productive. He's been playing, but he's not getting targeted.
Reynolds is cheap, but he's a little too expensive, which means
he's injured.
And he's technically injured, which
he hasn't played. I think the last 2 or 3 weeks. So even if.
But then look at your other 5. Like you said, you're going to run into the issue of needing a $5,000 receiver, and
I don't think
there's just not any $5,000 receivers anywhere else. And especially if you're playing New England's defense, you don't want to be playing wideouts against yourself.
I feel like that's a rule in a big slate that you would probably want to abide by, but I feel like you should have a little bit more flexibility.
And here you almost don't have a choice. Yeah, you don't have a choice.
Slate. Yeah.
Plus, you need players from 3 different teams. You're gonna probably run into it whether you like it or not.
Exactly. I was kind of harping on myself a little bit. I was like, okay, no Minnesota players if I'm gonna take New England D. But then I think there is one lineup where I might have a player against them, and I wasn't gonna say in a big lineup I would say absolutely not. That's a terrible idea. But I think you have to be a little bit more flexible in these.
Do you think it's Nelson Aguilar?
I looked at Nelson Aguilar actually because I said, wouldn't that make my day? For that scrub to get a bunch of touchdowns. I do have some Jacoby Myers in there. I would consider him New England's #1 receiver if I had to pick somebody. I do have a couple of them. He's $6,700.
Jacoby. See, that's funny because I think I could only afford Devante.
Who is questionable. I don't know if he's playing today, but
out of all of the 5,000 guys, you just got to make the choice, and we'll get to it because we do have the
our optimal lineups.
We do have the optimal lineups. You'll see where we went with that. I think we should actually spend more time on that than we do on just looking at these lists.
The players.
Running backs is up next.
This is where I
run, bitch.
Some of my hardest difficulties.
Buffalo, Detroit running backs first.
This was really challenging.
Swift, Cook.
I think I'm going to end up having 3 running backs, using a running back in my flex this week.
Do you think you're one of the biggest proponents of when a team is down, they're not running anymore? But so you're not playing a Detroit running back?
I am.
Then? No, you said you're not.
Well,
you're full of shit.
I am. I'm playing.
You said
okay,
you can't.
so I've thought long and
your convictions.
No, I've thought long and hard about this, and I'm playing DeAndre Swift in a couple of lineups. He hasn't been on the field very much. I'd like to think that they didn't have him out there much on Sunday because I knew it was a short week coming back. He is their pass catching running back. Just because you get down, if you have a versatile running back who can catch passes out of the backfield, be there for Jared Goff, all of his checkdowns.
Be there for him emotionally
and physically.
He's gonna have a hard time.
I mean, he's $6,200. Like, I think he's worth to be in one lineup just in case he's your guy. I think Jamal Williams is way too expensive.
I think that I'm gonna force you to go one lineup because it just makes you make such different decisions.
Okay.
You go one lineup and that's it. There's no hedging. You can't figure it out.
Can I tell you my other running
else.
back that I love that's on this right now?
Devin
His name is
Singletary.
James Cook.
James Cook?
Yeah. So James Cook had a fantastic week last week against the Browns. You see it's $5,500. They love him more. I don't know why they don't like Devin Singletary. I don't know why they traded for Nyheim Hines and we haven't seen him out on the field. Besides, I think he's been doing some punt or kickoff returns. But they seem to really like James Cook. And if we're going to be successful on the Bills side today, I say I'm part of the Bills Mafia or something. I'm totally not. But if the Bills are going to be successful today, you have to start with your run game. You have to be able to ground and pound a little bit. When I
was talking to people online and getting yelled at and yelling at them, I purposely would not call people their team. Like, you aren't 8-2. You are a moron.
There's no
one guy's like, it's awful hard to hear you up here while we're 8-2. I'm like, you ain't
you
shit.
You are not 8-2. You're plowing dry.
You're 0-1 on this conversation to start with. Anywho.
But regardless, I like James Cook a little bit. I feel like I'm definitely going to be playing 3 running backs using one in my flex. I had a really hard time finding 4 wideouts that I loved and could afford.
If I took Singletary down to Cook, I wouldn't even have to worry about Devontae Parker no more.
No.
That's just the honest God truth. That's
limping hurt Devontae Parker, who hasn't played more than 5 games in a row.
Drops 2 70-yard bombs, and you're like, no, he drops again. One, and then he gets another one, but it's defensive pass interference in the end zone, so you don't get any points for it. Thanks, Davante. That's why I haven't played this since week 1.
Just grabs everything in the
picks up a fumble and runs.
He's
moving on.
Defense. I love that. Okay. So
New York
talked about those.
Giants and Dallas. Let's go over their little running back situation they got over there.
Saquon Barkley wants to have a big game
I
today.
Completely edited out anybody beyond those names.
I do. If Saquon Barkley wants to have a big game today, I dare him. Go for it. I will not have you in a single lineup, and I would tell this to your face, Saquon.
Fool me once, shame on me.
Shame on me.
Fool me 4 times this season.
Shame on you.
I'm never playing you again.
Dallas D is playing so disciplined recently. I just don't see this being a game where the hard part with this is the Giants need him, right? There's no pass catchers on that Giants team right now. Wan'Dale Robinson tore his ACL last week, so you have Sterling Shepard and maybe apparently 2 other guys. I don't know.
That doesn't, but everybody else knows that too. That's why when I played Saquon last week and it was the dumbest mistake ever, I looked down at my phone, a quarter removed, and he had 1.4 points, something like that, some real nasty.
They kept him pretty. I think less
just because
than
you give him a
40
bunch
or 50
doesn't mean he's
rushing
going to get it. And
exactly.
when there's nothing else.
I don't see him even being a factor in today's game. I think Tony Pollard is so expensive. And I don't like, I get he's had some great games. I totally get that. Zeke is still their goal line guy. Like, it's up to Tony to basically break off for a lot of yardage and a touchdown. They're making him,
I remember now. I was looking at this and I was like, how are you going to not play a Dallas running back? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. That's going to be mostly everybody's issue, is going for one of those guys. And I'm just going to lay off entirely.
I do have Zeke in a couple of lineups. He's $7,000, and I think Tony Pollard is going to be higher owned.
Sure.
But
I think that there's an option. I don't think, I'm not saying it's not like a one or the other is going to do well today. I'm saying while everyone's worried which one to take, it's just going to be passed around. Yeah.
I like that.
Dalton Schultz. He's going to take all the points.
Let's talk about Dalton. Yeah, we can talk about. Well, we'll finish with running backs. One more game.
Yeah.
Oh, and my favorite running back. I feel like he is a must-play. Ramondre Stevenson.
Dalvin? Oh.
Absolutely not. He's only $7,200, which is shocking because he is. I know Bill loves his running back by committees. He's been doing it, as long as I've been alive. But I feel like Ramondre is finally an RB1.
I could take Ramondre instead of Devin Singletary, and then I could throw your guy Cook.
Oh, you'd have a lot of money
with Ramondre.
I mean, Ramondre is what, $300 more than Devin Singletary? That's astonishing to me. The Bills hate him.
I think I'm going to change that. So when you see my final lineup, beware.
Patriots, I mean, that's what they're going to do today. They're going to run the ball. They're going to keep it on the ground. They don't want Mac Jones to throw it. I don't want Mac Jones to throw it.
But what if they're behind? What about your whole policy that they're behind?
He still catches passes.
He does still catch passes.
So I do think Ramondre is it was a must play for me. It was so hard to say, do you know what? He's not going to be a factor, but I know you like another New England running back as well.
I love Damian. I've loved Damian since I was a little girl. Damian had some pretty good traction. Nothing great though. He was pretty Damian last week because I had him in.
It's all for you, Damian.
It's all for you, Damian. I like, his price tag suggests to me that he is going to be pretty dang good, but I can't deny the output of Stevenson, how much they do like him, and now just seeing him, understanding that I can move Singletary, relieve myself of that issue I'm having, the Devontae Parker issue I'm having, but fulfill the need to have at least one New England player in the mix somewhere, thinking that, and especially when you're thinking about this, I know that this is not something that goes through everybody's mind, but when you're thinking about teams that stick to plans, like Patriots are one of those teams, you're not going to see them abandon shit, start freaking out, and then like what should have happened doesn't happen. Like that save that shit for the Jets and the Browns and shit. That's not how this team runs.
That Minnesota is going to be able to effectively move the ball against this defense to the point that they're playing from like 2 touchdowns back?
I don't think so. I think you're right.
It just doesn't go with my game script.
So I'm
could
changing
it happen?
it. I'm changing
it. Could happen.
It could.
I haven't accounted for that because I don't believe in it.
We got 10 more minutes.
Okay.
We still got to go over tight ends and defense. We got like
Perfect.
5 minutes per. That's what we're trying to do. About 5 and optimal. But
so
we'll
Dalvin
get there.
Cook, I don't have any Dalvin Cook. We can
No
leave
Dalvin
that
Cook.
there. I don't think that's a good play.
You can play Dalvin Cook all you want, but you can let him piss you off and upset
Dalvin
you
and
all you want.
Saquon better beat me this week if they want to show up. Like, I'm gonna let.
I want the ball. Give me the ball. I would like the ball, please.
It's probably really loud. Sorry, we can't hear it out on this one because I didn't put it on the output device, but you can hear it and I can see the level and it's fucking loud.
Love that. Woke you up a little bit.
So just one screen for you on these. I should probably move it because we do have that little thing inside the thing.
I mean, are you really?
I don't think
playing
you're gonna
like
go down to
Bellinger?
that far down. Yeah. Oh shit! I fucked that up. Okay.
So TJ Hawkinson, most expensive on the slate here, and honestly, if you wanted to do like a little bit of contrarian
TJ
play,
Hawkinson.
if you wanted to do a little bit of contrarian play, I could see you picking Hawkinson because he's so expensive.
The smallest bit of contrarian play. No. You are not telling my fans to pick TJ Hawkinson.
No, I'm saying if you wanted to go contrarian, like that would really be the only way with these tight ends because I do think most of the ownership is going to be on Schultz and Knox. Obviously, Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith, like how are you going to choose between the two in a game that 15
don't say that.
attempts might get thrown?
Don't say that.
If I had to pick one, I'd pick Hunter Henry.
Whenever I run into the same problems everyone else is having, I know that I'm going to lose.
I do love Dalton Schultz.
Just like
I have him in quite a few lineups, especially if you're going to play Dak. I think that's a great stack if you don't want to go with CeeDee Lamb. One of the things I didn't mention is that I feel like Dak's ceiling is a little bit hampered because they don't really have a great wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 situation. Like Michael Gallup, ever since returning from his ACL injury, he's not dynamic. He's not out there making plays. Like, a lot of their passes are funneling towards CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz. And I do think Schultz has a great this is a great matchup. I mean, I don't know.
I hear you.
It's hard for.
I hear you. I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna go against.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go against.
No.
I get in a lot of trouble with tight ends when I go for them. You go for the most expensive one, and you either, like Kelsey's and all of that. TJ Hawkinson is not one of those guys. When you're going for the best ones, and you're talking about the Kelseys, when you're talking about Mark Andrews, like those are the dudes, man. I am going to spend $7,000 because they put up wide receiver numbers. Has Hawkinson put up any numbers since even joining the team?
I mean, he's only played 3 games, and it hasn't been great. I think he's kind of taken that wide receiver 2 position because you don't see Adam Thielen getting as many targets.
15 points is not enough points.
Factor.
Your tight end it has to be that surprise guy, and if he's not, you better not have paid for him.
And I feel like Schultz and Dawson Knox, he's playing the team that's given up the most fantasy points to the position.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those guys get. I think Knox, Hawkinson, and Schultz all get 15 points.
Wow.
I think they all get 15, but Knox is like, what's his face is Schultz is like, okay, if you have Hawkinson, you're gonna be pissed off.
I mean, and I don't see Hawkinson scoring multiple touchdowns.
It's tough to see that too. So and then he's not gonna chunk up the yardage like he needs to. He's not ready yet. So
for me, this is between Schultz and Knox.
It's between Schultz and Knox all the way.
Yeah. Okay, that was easey.
It's Porkins.
Courage is the best defense that you have now.
That's from Lord of the Rings, bro.
Oh, yes. Okay. No, it was the logos.
Your
at the
courage
bottom,
is the best defense now, I think is what he says. Anyways.
Okay, defense, DeFi, and.
That's why I got it. They actually do have to do with each other. And the other, DeFi.
DeFi.
No,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, that's perfect. I feel like there are 3 DeFi to choose from here.
Possible DeFis.
The top 3.
Yes.
I'm surprised the Vikings are only $200 cheaper than the Patriots, so somebody knows something that I don't know. But I'm so hardcore on Patriots D. I just think Kirk Cousins, he has a pin shot, as my husband would say, for turning the ball over. It's pension. He loves to turn the ball over. I think they can bring the pressure. That's where Kirk is just terrible. And the Patriots actually pressure the quarterback most in the NFL.
Yep.
So I love that defense.
Perfect match.
Buffalo
it's almost a no-brainer.
is tricky to me because Mike and I were talking about this earlier. I really want to play for people from Buffalo in most of my lineup. So then if you want to play the defense, you really have to pull back and you can only play 3 people.
Yeah.
So
which I think is a mistake
also. For me. And
it's a little too easy for me.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit puts up 21, 23 points on this team. Buffalo's defense also historically from a fantasy perspective is not like they don't put up double digits on a regular basis.
No.
And then if you have the salary cap space, you want to go all the way. I mean, I don't know how anybody could say, Dallas doesn't have the potential to put up value today. Absolutely. Between sacks, between the mistakes that
they're sneaky.
That Danny Dimes is going to make. It feels like a moment here for them.
Word. Well, you know that I am going.
What you have? I think you were talking about Buffalo for a little bit.
I was talking about Buffalo. Buffalo was on my list. I got to put up our little things, which I think you. When did you send it to me?
At approximately at 11:35 a.m. It was called Thanksgiving lineups. I don't know if that's helpful, but while Mike's doing that. I guess we can talk about a little bit of DFS strategy. So we talked about stacking. Obviously, you're going to have to do some stacking today.
There's going to be a stack
only
here.
3 games,
Pick the right
6
stack.
teams. Pick the right stack. We've talked about how Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, that stack is really going to, you have to get creative with the back end. And I don't know that that's something that's possible with the lack of depth at sub 6,000, 6,500 people. These teams are not very deep once you start looking at them. You have really good people that are expensive, and that's about it. So,
dude, I can't find this little thing.
It's unfortunate.
Did you airdrop it to me?
I sure did.
Boo.
I saw you download it.
You saw me download it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Is that it?
No way.
No way.
What is that? Anyways,
sorry. Okay.
We really need it for the visual.
Yeah.
But fuck yeah.
Do you want to go to a bailout and I can send it to you?
This isn't my bailout.
This is your bailout.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Because the computer's right there.
The
but-
computer's right there. I saw me accept it though.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, we can talk about him a little bit then.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I mean, I
don't
know
have
what
my
I took.
phone, but
I know what I took. As far as. I don't know. I'm
how about? Do you want to pass the computer to me? I can open it up here. We can get this done. We have 3 minutes before the games start.
I know that I took a Dak Prescott. This is your phone. I took a Dak Prescott
Thank you.
stack, and I'm excited to talk about it because I think it's very adventurous. I think that it's very daring. I'm just excited to see what you say about it. As a matter of fact, because I'm going with the Dallas stack that you would more than likely be caught doing. Because I never trust.
Yeah.
Never trust.
Big Dak Prescott fan over here.
See if we can get us up on. There we go. I figured it out.
Perfect. Just have to click your button.
Pop
There we
that one
go.
off. Look at that.
Nice.
Alright.
Okay.
Up, and then it popped off.
Oh man. Okay. So Mike talked about his Dak stack. He has Dak. Oh wow, you
And
went.
I have Dak.
This is
I have-
terrifying. I would never do this lineup here.
But I am gonna change out Singletary for your
Ramondre.
boy for Ramondre, and then I'm gonna drop
Wait.
Damian Harris.
Okay.
And
go
put
down
in
to James
Cook.
Cook.
James Cook.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
but
you
then
have,
you could see I do have CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, you have a
I do
full
have
Dallas
Michael
stack
Gallup,
here.
and I
Yeah.
do have Dalton Schultz.
Wow. Okay.
So and then
You went with 3 pass catchers with Dak.
Then they'll allow me to drop Devontae Parker also, and then I did stick with Buffalo's defense. So I do think in the terms of a contrarian play, not just because of not traditional contrarian, but I know how these things are won and I know how they're lost, and I know that a lot of people are going to lose by stacking the wrong Allen.
You know what game is going to be the one that the person wins on, right? It's going to be that Minnesota New England.
It's going to be the New England game, and it's going to be Jacoby Myers and Mac Jones are
and
the two
Dalvin
best.
Cook, and they're
And
going to
Dalvin
put
Cook
up
is
like
gonna
60
have a
points
great game.
combined.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Exactly. If you know how you lose and how absurdly you lose in these things,
That's
you
the way
have an
it-
upper
yeah,
hand, and
absolutely.
that's exactly what I'm going for. Like
You're
no one in the
staying away
right
from
mind.
Detroit and even Buffalo, you're not stacking Buffalo, so taking out that component of what most people are going to be leaning.
I
on,
also
which
live and die
I'm in
by.
that.
I also live and die by the concept that if the thing gives you X amount of players, you need to use that amount of players. Because they're also saying that you cannot have this amount of players because it's not fair.
Exactly.
Like cool,
You can
okay.
only
If
have
it's not
4.
fair that I can only have I can only have 4 people or else it's not fair. Well, guess what? I'm using all 4.
Yeah. So I did the exact same thing. I just did it with Buffalo. I'm sticking to basically sticking to Vegas. They're guessing that this is going to be the highest scoring game of the slate.
Who's your defense?
So I have Patriots D all the way at the
Patriots
bottom
D,
there.
can't
So
see
I
them down
stacked Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, James Cook, and Dawson Knox.
Wow.
Patriots D, I have a bring back with Amon-Ra St. Brown and DeAndre Swift. So I'm going
Oh,
all
you
in
had the
with
Cook
that.
guy too. Oh wow.
I do.
Wow.
And then I talked about Ramondre Stevenson earlier. I feel like it is so hard to not play him in this slate. I think he's undervalued. He has so much opportunity to make that value today. And then I do have Jacoby Myers, who we talked about earlier as well.
Nice. Well, good luck with your lineup. And happy Thanksgiving to
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
Games are starting right now. We got it in under time. We're going to come back Sunday and do the games. We're going to kind of do the same thing. We're going to tweak this, work with it a little bit, get the graphics online.
We'll have our lineup ready.
This
for you
is
too.
this is what you prove though because of the I'm going to lose that lineup by the way. I'm not going to be able to change it now cuz it's 12:30. But this is like doing it on a Thursday turnaround. Like I can't believe that those football players all get together.
Oh,
and,
man, I
and
feel
then they still have families and stuff. They got to put
And they're traveling.
Thanksgiving
and,
plans together
yeah,
and see their kids and stuff like
absolutely.
that.
I heard Buffalo flew back to Buffalo and now they're back in Detroit,
So it's
which
crazy. So
yeah.
so props out to them. Happy Thanksgiving to all those hardworking people and all the people behind the scenes of football and everything. Thank you guys so much for being friends and fans of ours. Hope you enjoy our advice or at least get to use it in a contrarian fashion to make yourself some money. We do this for fun. We appreciate all your patronage. Keep subscribing, keep viewing, keep watching, keep enjoying, and
let's head to kickoff.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's go Dallas.
Let's
That's
go.
the first time you'll ever hear me say something as stupid as that. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.